We all got mad respect for Marcus Peters. We know what he's capable of, from his days in Kansas City, and now he came over there. And Aqib Talib obviously wasn't available yesterday. But when you look at Peters, Devontae Adams was having his day. Had 133 receiving yards, okay? This dude was balling. Scanton, St. Brown, other guys were getting open. I saw Marcus Peters in the vicinity quite more than I expected to. You can't have a situation where you can take advantage of those two corners. Again, Talib was out. But if Talib is there with Peters, you're banking on the fact that those dudes have buffered your secondary so significantly that it's going to be difficult to pass. You can't just rely on your rush with Donald and Ndamukong and those boys. You've got to have a secondary that can maintain folks. And even though it was Rodgers throwing folks to football, I get it. I saw receivers open on far too many occasions yesterday.
I agree with that, but that's offset by something. That expectation, which is lower than it should be in results, is offset by the fact that I mentioned Aaron Rodgers makes plays only Aaron Rodgers can make. Yeah. Jared Goff is turning into one of those guys. He had a couple throws yesterday where he used mobility to escape pressure and thread the needle where only the receiver could make the play. Goff has been dropping dimes all year.
That's offset come playoff time. I don't think that's offset come playoff time. You got to have a secondary that can shut down opposing receivers if you are the Rams. You cannot make all of those moves in the offseason that you made with Ndamukong and Talib and Peters and re-signing Aaron Donald like you should have been. And then all of a sudden it's a problem and your defense appears vulnerable. That cannot happen.
Listen,
that cannot happen.
Going undefeated isn't always a good thing, though. Remember
yeah, you're right.
2007 Patriots? All right, guys. So obviously impressive performance by the Packers, though, hanging tough, of course, with the Rams. So let's take a look at that division. Chicago is first, followed by the Vikings, and then the Packers. So, Max, do you feel like the Packers should now be the favorites in the NFC North? Obviously, the Vikings coming off a loss, too.
Yep, because they have Aaron Rodgers. It's really that simple. Look, I can get into the details if you want. I'll get back to Rodgers. First of all, you know, the defensive backfield that Stephen A. laments for the Steelers. That's been an issue for several teams with higher hopes than are justified based on the secondary issues, the issues in their secondary. The Steelers have been a team like that in recent years, and so have the Packers. But you know what happened to the Packers? Kind of like what happened to the Rams when they were so bad year after year after year. They just keep drafting in the first round. Eventually you have a stockpile of talent. The Packers have some talent in their secondary now. That defensive backfield's pretty good. Now you have the offensive line healthy, which when healthy, you could argue is the best in football, and they looked it yesterday. When everyone's in the right position, their guards are good, the center's pretty good, the tackles are elite. That's a healthy offensive line. Now they have a secondary. They have a running game, too. What have been the two issues for the Packers more than any in recent years? Secondary, running game. They have a running game. They have a secondary. So, like, those are all the kind of details. But then the big picture is, guys, Matthew Stafford or Aaron Rodgers? Trubisky or Aaron Rodgers? Once the other things are kind of squared away, the Vikings defense this year or Aaron Rodgers? Rodgers will be the difference as he is every year. The Packers will take the NFC North, in fact, after all.
Listen, nobody can bet against Aaron Rodgers, particularly in the NFC North. But I got to see more of the Packers defense before I'm willing to elevate them to that level. I'm just not sold on it. Yesterday, they were incredibly impressive on many, many occasions. And I got to give them credit where credit is due because I didn't expect this. I didn't expect their defense to show up the way that it did, particularly early on. They were sacking Jared Goff. They were applying pressure all day long. Their secondary showed up and was making some good plays. I give them a lot of credit, but I'm not sold on it. And the reason why is because of the Chicago Bears. I got news for you. I've watched Mitchell Trubisky. He's not there yet. He's getting better. What I find most impressive about him, though, I like the way he runs the football as well because he moves the chains with his feet, not just his arm. And then I'm thinking about the fact that Khalil Mack has not been there the last couple of games. Eventually, he's coming back. I'm also thinking about how the season wanes, inclement weather is going to play a role, and what you're going to have to bring to the table is your running game, and I don't have faith in the Green Bay Packers that they're going to be able to do that. I have all the faith in the world about Aaron Rodgers, so I would never sit up there and say I'm betting against him because he's that dude. My flip side to it, however, is that I look at Green Bay's running game, which I don't think will be relied upon, and their defense, and Mike McCarthy, which I'm not necessarily trusting. Whereas in the case of the Chicago Bears, once Khalil Mack gets back, I think their defense is going to elevate significantly. And offensively, I just think that Mitchell Trubisky, especially with this kid Tariq Cohen, I'm a fan of Tariq Cohen. This brother can play, and he makes things happen. I don't know what the hell the Jets were thinking about yesterday on the damn little drop-off screen. They just blitzed, and he had the whole left side of the football field open, just one man to beat for 60 yards or something. Made no sense to me whatsoever. But Tariq Cohen can play. I like the weapons that Chicago has. I think they're being underestimated, and I'm not ready to say that the Green Bay Packers
has shown a little something here and there. Main thing, and I saw it last year, he can outrun linebackers. He's a little faster than I thought he was. He's still not accurate enough down the field for me. I know his QBR is good and all that stuff. I don't believe in Trubisky yet. Matthew Stafford, we know what he is, very talented, has underachieved. Maybe that's the result of the Lions organization. And Kirk Cousins is a good but not great quarterback on a team whose defense suddenly isn't that good. Yeah. And Aaron Rodgers' defense is suddenly better than we thought. Max, his line is healthy, and he's got a running game.
Respond to this for me. I was watching the Bears yesterday, and you know what I found myself thinking? Not so much Trubisky as McNabb, but Tariq Cohen as Brian Westbrook. Remember back in the day?
Yeah.
How McNabb used to utilize him. So you had receivers who could ball. This is before T.R. arrived. Right. You had receivers who could, the Pinkstons and Freddie Mitchells of the world and others. You had dudes who could do a little something. But really, it was about McNabb and Westbrook. And I'm saying to you, this kid, Tariq Cohen, reminds me of that guy. And I think Trubisky, I think they will utilize him effectively enough where he'll be that kind of weapon that Westbrook was years ago for the Philadelphia Eagles.
But I don't think their talent is pitched as high as McNabb and Westbrook. Westbrook, if he was a little bigger and could stay on the field,
Westbrook wasn't this fast.
Would have been an elite back.
Okay, right.
Like he was all kind of elite anyway when he was on the field.
He was a bulkier LaShawn McCoy.
Right.
To some degree.
Right.